Jim Wackler joining us now. Jim, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time. I know you're busy being now famous deer hunter. Yeah, talk a little bit about this 36 point buck that we wrote about in the Star Tribune today. You said that it had been seen by some people in the neighborhood in your area there for a couple years.
Yep. Yeah, one guy had it on for the last 3 years. He's had it on his on his camera. Yeah.
That causes a lot of talk. Were there people actively seeking this deer?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. But you didn't count yourself among them.
No.
Okay.
I had a guy stop in this afternoon and look at it, and he showed me a picture from last fall when he was picking corn. It came out of the cornfield, and he took a picture of it on his camera, and he still had it there. I'm sure it was walking away from him, but it sure looked like the same buck. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, a young archer in your area, we didn't include this in the story, but he actually had a shot at that deer earlier this fall and missed. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
That's got to be.
That's one that he's seeing in his sleep right about now, I would imagine.
Yeah, listen to that. So, okay, so let's break.
He told me he was only 14 yards away from it, but I think he was looking at the antlers and just, yeah.
Well, that was one thing that struck me in the story in the paper today, Jim, is you concentrated on not looking at the antlers, you said, or you felt you would have missed the shot, huh?
That's correct. I've hunted deer for 59 years. You can't look at the antlers because then you're going to, 90% of the time, you're going to overshoot him.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like the way you describe. So let's set it up. Your son-in-law, Mike Young, who is a farmer now, he is a retired Minneapolis police officer.
Correct.
And your daughter, Ruth, they're farming. Your son-in-law is out there cutting corn, which is what a good Minnesotan should be doing this time of year. He filled up his truck, and while he was doing that, he reported to you he saw a lot of corn kind of beaten down as deer do, and said this might be a good place to check out. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So
I had talked to him in the morning when I was out there, just driving around checking. I had been out every day, and Friday morning I just wasn't feeling up to snuff, so I stayed in bed for a while, and then my big dog, German Shorthair Sam, and I left about, 9:30 and drove around checking a few spots. And I saw my son-in-law was picking corn over there, so I went over and talked to him. And I asked him if he had cleaned out along the woods over there. Yeah, he said Ruth, which is my daughter, had combined over there last night and taken out about 50, 60 feet. I don't know how many rows that would be, but she had did several rounds there.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that would be a good place. Yeah, he says, go over and check it out. He says, because a lot of the corn in the first couple of rows were all gone, So, and that's not unusual. He farms south of his home place is south of Waverly, and he's got a big wood surrounding there too. And between the squirrels and the raccoon and deer, he loses 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows along the woods there too. So.
Right. So you took your dog and you got your Dodge pickup and cruised around, looked over there, said, yeah, that looks pretty good. But what I liked about it, you being a longtime hunter, is at that point you said, yeah, I'm going to go home now and have what you call dinner or lunch and then take a nap. This is, you're getting ready for your hunt by relaxing, apparently. And then when you get up from your nap, you cruise back out there with your lawn chair and then take the story from there.
Yeah, I drove out there about 2:30 and I had figured out where to park, so it wasn't quite as obvious. And I grabbed my lawn chair and shotgun in one hand and my cane in the other hand, and I hiked up maybe 100 to 110 yards, and that's about as far as my legs would carry me in the corn stalks. And I found a good place to sit down and parked in there with some green. Everything is green yet because it hasn't froze. All the underbrush was green, the little stuff, so I parked there. And at 3 o'clock, I sat down, and I was facing due west. And I just sat there and enjoyed it. And Mike was combining on the other side of the field, and I could hear him at about 3:30. everything got quiet, and I saw the truck pull out, and I said, well, I'll be here all alone the rest of the afternoon. And then I thought, well, if they come out to the north of me, I shoot right-handed. I said, I'm going to have trouble shooting. So I got up and moved my chair so I was facing more northwest. So I had, in case they come out that direction, I can always turn to the other side because that's the way I shoot. And I sat there enjoying the blue jays who were flying back and forth from the woods, a couple of them, and picking up corn, and I suppose stashing it away, and there was a big woodpecker come flopping through there, and some chickadees, and picking here and there. And I suppose I don't know if I slept or not, but it's a possibility. And a little after 4, I could hear this crash, 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 sound like a freight train in the corn coming through the standing corn. And so I picked up my shotgun, which was leaning against me, and put it on my lap and put the safe off, because on this side of Highway 12, on the north side of Highway 12, I could shoot anything, which was hunter's choice. But on the south side where I had been hunting, I saw quite a few deer over there too, but all does and fawns, and I never got a buck doe permit over there, so I couldn't shoot them. And then this crashing would stop for a second or two, and then it would start again, and about the third or fourth time it stopped, I saw his head come out about 35 yards up from me, and he looked like he was looking both directions, because he had about 60 feet to cross to get to the woods. And then he stepped out and started trotting. Not fast, but just in a trot.
Yeah.
And when he got about 30 feet from the corn, I had the shotgun in my hands, of course. And when he got about 30 feet from the corn, I said, "Hey!" And he stopped and looked at me. And that give me just a second or two time to put that silver bead of the 20 gauge Winchester on his chest, and I pulled the trigger. His tail went down and he left. And I just sat there and reloaded, put another shell in, and sat there a few minutes, and then I put the gun down so I could get standing up and grabbed the gun and my cane, and I walked up there and found where he was at. I knew exactly where he was at. And I reached out, oh my goodness, there's blood here on the corn stalk. And then when I walked over towards the fence line a little bit, well, it's not really a fence line, there's no fence there anymore, but it's a woods line. All of them green bushes, well, there was blood splattered all over them. I finally fought my way through that patch and got inside the woods, and about 15 feet, and there was blood all over the leaves and stuff. And I looked ahead, about 30 yards, and it looked like a big white birch log laying there. And then I looked up in the trees, and there's no birch in here. There's all maple and oak. And so I walked over there, and that was his big belly. He had fallen down against the log, and his belly was showing.
Well, it was unbelievable. I mean, at 36 measurable points, I think you counted one, maybe.
Yeah, there was one when we counted him at Joey's Sport Shop that night when we registered him. We counted one that wasn't quite an inch long, and when the guy measured him on Sunday, we cut that one out, so it's 36 measurable points.
Yeah, well, we have to run. I appreciate it. Anytime this show is slow, we're just going to play your description of that again, because it's
fantastic
great.
Story.
It's fantastic, Jim. I appreciate it. And
congrats on a feat of a lifetime, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I get out that way, I'll stop in and we'll talk.
Okay. Thank you.
All right,
You
thank
bet.
you.
Bye-bye.
Sports Talk will be back.